Hey, Fish here from It Came from GenX here with Keith Porterhouse. Porter, this week on It Came from GenX, we talk about the Georgia runoff elections. Why is it still set up this way? We'll discuss our opinions. Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, gets a new job out in Colorado. What do you think about that? We'll talk about some of our favorite actors who released albums. More Kanye West craziness. We remember Kirstie Alley and Bob from Sesame Street on their recent passings. What the heck is Gobiln Mode anyway? We discuss. And also, what are some of your favorite Christmas TV specials? All that and a lot more Gen X talk, memories, and rants. Listen, hang in there with us, and without further ado, here we go.
This is an It Came from Gen X video.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to It Came from GenX. I'm Keith Porter, alongside my man Brian Fisher. We call him Fish, and for $2.99, you can call him anything you want. He's very reasonable. Christmas rates do apply. What's going on, brother?
Hey, man, good weekend. I know we had an exciting time.
Great weekend.
You'll talk about that some here with the amazing wedding, but yeah, just great time, and just get ready for the holidays, brother. How about you? How you doing?
I know what you mean. Well, obviously I was with you, for a portion of the weekend. You kind of know my story, but I'm just coming off 5 days of massive rehearsals for different projects and performances, and of course the wedding, which we'll talk about a little bit. So I'm excited. I thought we were supposed to be 4 tonight. We end up being 2, so that's kind of weird. Our man Skinner is not with us tonight. His cousin had came in from California. Bobby, just an awesome guy, very funny. And while he was in town, we invited him to come on the show tonight. So, but as it turns out, Skinner had so much family stuff going on because his son, our boss, the kid, Junior, our podcast producer, got married on Saturday. And, a lot of family are in town, and Skinner's is so excited. So we definitely understand that and the whole family issue. And I think you and I can toe the line. What do you think, Fish?
Absolutely. Not a problem.
So before we start, we got to say big congratulations to Junior, Michael Skinner Jr. Man, first rate. There's a barn out in Carrollton. You pull up to it and you're kind of like, huh? You walk into it. It was just absolutely stunning. It was such a relaxing, awesome atmosphere. And everybody was great. All the people I met were great. All his friends, his groomsmen, bridesmaids, everybody was just absolutely awesome. And of course, his beautiful bride, Marin, she was just amazing. He hit a home run, and we are excited about him and their future. So congratulations to Michael Skinner Jr. Thoughts on the wedding, Fish?
I guess it was a beautiful venue, and it was just so nice to see 2 nice young people in love.
Yes.
They prepared these, statements to each other, very personal statements, and just to get up in front of your loved ones like that and profess your love freely in your own personalized that just takes things to a whole other level. So I thought that was a nice touch, and she sang beautifully.
Oh, gosh,
I didn't realize it was even her singing. I'm like, what?
I thought it was a recording at first.
Yeah, me too. So just so nice, like you say, just nice young people. Their whole friends seem very nice. So yeah, just
Yeah,
could not be
and
happier for them.
and
Yeah.
you're right. They took it to a whole nother level with the statements. But even then, she personally sang to her
Yeah.
husband. I thought that was beautiful. She did it a cappella, number one. Number two, she sang "At Last" by Etta James. That is not an easy song to sing.
Mhm.
And just the preparation, Junior had everything set up so wonderful. It was just spectacular, man. I was so proud to be a part of it. I was able to officiate the wedding.
Mhm.
And I tell you what, man, that's what I like to see too. And I don't know what kind of kids them two are going to spit out, but good, look, man, they're going to reek a talent.
Yes.
Jeez.
Agree.
I went up to Junior and said, "Hey, man, I know you guys are supposed to make beautiful music together, but you guys are actually going to make beautiful music together." I mean, as talented as he is and her, that's just exciting to see. So we're not cutting him any slack. You better have this show produced and on time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, this is Monday, December the 5th, and we don't have last week's episode out just yet as we're recording this one. So I don't know. Wedding's it's a poor excuse, Keith. It's a poor excuse
it's
not
very
to.
sad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When you got to use something like that, well, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with somebody. Dude, stop, just stop.
Hey, we're here shooting this. The show goes on, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what? I'm single. It means nothing.
All right. Just this one time.
The show is first. Maybe I should rethink my life.
Just this one time. You know, well, as long as I don't think he will. As long as Junior and Mike would say the same thing, Senior. Don't take after his father with his with the number of times. You know, one time. I think Junior is going to be one time. That's what I think.
I was going to say,
yeah.
you know, I mean, I ain't no fortune teller, but this looks like, you know, and I'm excited about that. So, I tell you what, man. Well, I don't know what's up with the three of us, man. We just do things together. You hear me? Peyton advancing in her relationship.
Yeah.
At the same time, my son gets engaged, and a week later, Skinner's like, it's just kind of funny that way. You know, we already had them close at the same time.
Yeah.
And to see them progressing at this stage in their life was really exciting. So, all right, guys. All right, big shout out to you. We love you, Junior. Marin, welcome, because you are a part of us now. It's a package deal, and we'll be excited to hear from you in the future. Also, big ups to Des the Reason and Boss Code Media, which Fish will allude to a little bit more. But we just want to say thank you so much for everything that you do and allowing us to stream on here. So, Fish, tell them about all of the places where they can catch the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you might be listening to us on demand on your favorite podcast platforms. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Overcast, and many more. Just pull up your podcast platform of choice, search for the It Came From GenX podcast, give us a subscribe or follow. And as we post new episodes every week around when our producer doesn't decide to get married and all that stuff, they'll pop in your feed free of charge on the go or what have you. You might be watching us, as Keith mentioned, on the Boss Code Media TV network or our YouTube channel. For Boss Code Media, you may find the app on your smart TV or your portable device. Just pull up the app, download it, give us a subscribe, and we have our very own channel there. It Came From GenX channel, where we post the video segments of the show. And also, there's plenty of other original creative content out there. There's chefs and comedians and music and a lot of different variety of stuff out there that Des is building with his partners. So we're happy to be a part of that, as you mentioned, Keith. Again, our YouTube channel at It Came From GenX, full episodes there and segments and different things on our channel. Give us a subscribe while you're there as well. You can find links to all our social media accounts, TikTok, etc. Two main places. Our Linktree page, just simply Google Linktree. It Came From GenX, and it's simply a page with links to our social media where you can listen to us, etc. And our website, itcamefromgenx.wordpress.com. Also, all show information is there, links to new episodes, videos, bios, ways to support the show, and all kinds of good stuff. If you do one thing for us out there besides listening or watching, tell a friend, like, share, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Just connect to us, and it doesn't cost anything, but it helps us grow, and we appreciate your support out there. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Fish. So, wow. I tell you what, I had a great show yesterday at the Lions Theater in Massillon. Solid Gold Christmas. Played about 30 shows. 30 songs, and didn't break a sweat. I played with brushes and bamboo hot rods, and I didn't even take any tom-toms with me. I had a kick drum, a snare, and a hi-hat cymbal and a cymbal. That was it. But it was really a lot of fun. Probably 10 of the songs I didn't even play on. But it was cool. Beautiful singers, beautiful pageantry. We had the Candy Apple Dancers show up, 25 young girls. I look, they were about 13 or younger, do a dance routine, and they were absolutely marvelous.
Very nice.
Yeah, it was very, very cool. So just excited. Thank you, everybody came out to that show because it was sold out. Okay, guys, we got some stuff to talk about. We haven't done this in a while, Fish, so I just want to give a little bit of room. I don't know if there's any significance to your shirt. There's some familiarity to it with me, but I can't quite make it out. Okay, so we got a Santa's hat.
No, it's a little hard to make out. So what this is it's a station wagon with wood paneling and a giant Christmas tree strapped over top of it here.
National Lampoon's Vacation.
That's exact Christmas Vacation. Exactly right.
Excellent. Yeah, excellent. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. I knew it had to be something going on there. Just couldn't make it out. All right, excellent. Okay, but we're going to fill in for Skinner Night with some world news. And you talked about some things earlier in pre-production, so let's take it away.
All right, so one of the big stories in news at the moment here in Georgia, again, we're shooting this on Monday, December the 5th, as I mentioned. Tomorrow is a runoff election for a Senate seat. So it's a pretty important race here. So the Democratic Party has already won the majority, retained the majority in the Senate, but if they can win this seat, then obviously for the Democrats, it's an extra cushion for trying to pass things through the Senate. Of course, if the Republicans win the seat, then it's that much closer of a Senate divide. And it's the showdown is between Senator Raphael G. Warnock and you've heard this name before, Herschel Walker, former.
Sounds familiar.
Yes, former Georgia running back. Made all kinds of records in Georgia. One of the powerhouse football players to come out of that region, maybe ever, frankly. They wanted to have a interesting professional career. Anyway, so why is there a runoff election? Well, it's just the way that Georgia has their rules set up here, and neither candidate won at least 50% of the votes. Although there was, a person did have more. I think Senator Warnock had more. It was a very close race, but I think he had a higher percentage than Herschel Walker. So if you just end the race there, I mean, someone still had more votes. I mean, at the end of the day, this is what's interesting. At the end of the day, someone still had more votes, period. But no, they don't do that in Georgia. They go to this runoff, and people have to come out and vote again between these two candidates to try to see if someone gets at least 50% of the vote. 10 states have runoffs. I'm looking at an article, by the way, on the Washington Post. 10 states use runoffs in primary elections, but only Georgia and Louisiana use it for general elections. The Georgia system was created in 1964 by the urging of Denmark Groover, who blamed black voters for a re-election loss and proposed runoffs. He later acknowledged the runoff system was intended to suppress black political representation. All right, so he admitted this, and now you fast forward 58 years later, it's the first race in history where you have two black men competing for a U.S. Senate seat. But anyway, it's just interesting that the setup still exists today. There was another quote here from, let's see here. I said it even in the production meeting here. But that's what I'll find more quotes here. But basically, it's a system admittedly to set up to not to make it harder for black voters to make an impact on the result, right? So some historians have said that basically it's here it is here. It's this person was a Ashton Ellett. Here's his name. I apologize here. Ashton Ellett is a political historian and archivist at the University of Georgia. All right, so his opinion was it's a way of ensuring a conservative white candidate won an election. That was his opinion on why this was set up that way. A runoff makes it harder for folks who have less resources to vote. The quote from him, this was before advanced in-person voting or voting was offered by mail, and we had other unfair, undemocratic policies. It wasn't for a partisan advantage so much as an ideological and cultural one, Ellett said. So there you go. So
wow,
just interesting that you still have, like I say, you have this type of setup. I guess you would have to have a bill pass or something to change the voting laws in the state because it's all controlled by the state. So I don't know, just very crazy, interesting. So at the end of the day, you are going to have a black candidate in this example win, of course, but just because it happens to be against two black candidates against each other. I don't know. It's just a bizarre setup, in my opinion. And the fact that they admitted that it was intended to oppress people, that it still exists, is really astounding. So I don't know, Keith. You probably have a lot of opinions on this. What do you think about the whole runoff setup in Georgia in general? Any thoughts you have on all this?
I would need a whole show to really cover this. I tell you. I know you didn't mean this way, so I'm not coming down on you. But interesting is not the word I would use. It's shameful to me.
Sure.
It's shameful, and it's not surprising. And I'm going to say this: I get so annoyed when something suspicious happens that seems oppressive. And when somebody speaks on it, it's always some person going, well, you always got to bring race into this. Who's the right person saying that? And this is for reasons like this, because it usually is, unfortunately. It's sad it has to be that way, but it usually is. And it's always something that's so slick and passive aggressive that you don't know about it. And just because you don't know about it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Because I'm sure you didn't know nothing about this till you read about it. Recently.
That's right. Yep. So
this is really, really sad. And this is just a modern day grandfather clause is what it is. When blacks had won the rights to vote, so they threw that little wrinkle in. Yeah, you can vote if your grandfather owned property. And that was just like a way of saying, we'll come at you another way, to keep you from voting. So this is really sad that it's there, that it's in the books. And there are so many more laws like that in the country that I know about still going on. We have some places here in Ohio that have some of their towns have on their charters, blacks can't be on the street after 5:30 in the daylight. I'm not going to name the place. Well, I should. I don't really care. But, it's really sad that things are like that haven't been taken off the books, that haven't been changed. The fact that we have two black candidates should be no excuse
right.
To whitewash this. But it's really, really sad. So moving on, the whole Herschel Walker thing. Herschel Walker was bigger than life when we were growing up. Us GenXers, because we were young and we saw him in college, and that was right around the time we really started understanding football. there was nothing like him. He was just a power back. When he came into the league and was with Dallas, Dallas had a horrible football team, but this outstanding player, he was so outstanding. He is the focal point of the greatest trade in NFL history.
Yes,
The great
indeed.
train robbery. Dallas ended up getting Hall of Famers for this one guy.
Mhm.
That's how outstanding he was. But the point that I'm making is, our age, Gen Xers, we know Herschel Walker from a time where when we saw somebody like that, that is all we saw, what they did on the field. We didn't have social media. We weren't old enough to read a lot of stuff like we should have, but we didn't know nothing about his personal life, his quirks, his opinions, anything like that. To us, he was the greatest thing in the world because he could run for 200 yards in a game. So to us, that makes you a great person when you're a kid. You know what I'm saying? And you see a football player. It's not until you get older, and especially now with social media prying in everybody's life, that you get to say, you know what, this person's kind of a jerk, or this person is this. I didn't know this person thought like that. I mean, think about it. Even now, you just think about how when Kyrie was splashing threes for the Cavs, he was the greatest thing in the world to us. It wasn't until he got popular and they put a microphone in his face.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So Herschel Walker is really changing how people feel about him, how they look at him. And, I'm not going to go into all this crazy stuff, but just that whole election thing, man, they really need to do something about that. And you know what? Whoever it was that spoke up on it, good for you. They need to speak up on it more. I don't know what his agenda was. I don't want to pat him on the back too much, but they need to do something about that kind of stuff because it's utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. It's still, it's like I said, it's just astounding. Our country should make it as easy for people to vote. Period. That's it. And it's not. It's not. There's more and more laws like this, and there's more new laws put into place
Yeah.
to make it harder for folks to vote.
Easy and fair too. And the only reason I want to caution you with that, because there's some some of these voting laws that were coming out. I'm not trying to play Democrats politics or Republicans on here, but the Democrats wanted to push the laws where Arab women didn't have to show their faces when showing ID. How can you not have people show ID and you match your face to their ID in this country for anything? That's stupid. Because if that's the case, any kid should be able to walk in with a mask on and show an ID to buy alcohol and don't question them then. Stupid. So fair laws. Yeah, you're absolutely right, though.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, don't make it easy in the sense of it's easy to have a fraudulent vote and all that stuff. But yeah, if you could prove who you are, it should be as simple as possible to vote fairly, to your point. So I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see it change, Keith. I don't know. I guess it just depends on the future leaders and maybe some of the younger generations coming up that may get tired of some of these rules and just make change. But it's probably not going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately. So I don't know.
Oh, man. All right. Well, good story, man. Interesting in the fact that it's pretty sad. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go into some sports and music. And we'll start off with the sporting world because it was kind of a big weekend in sports. For those of you who listened to last week's show, Fisher's cousin and my aunt, we talked about our beloved Ohio State Buckeyes lost to the pretty much the most important game of the year to us in the regular season, without question. We lost to the team up north. It was a painful loss, and it was painful by itself just losing to them. But then there was this extra cost that we saw. We saw C.J. Stroud's Heisman Trophy most likely slip away. We saw the playoffs slip away, most likely. And here we are, boom, because of some other outside things happening with some other teams, the Ohio State Buckeyes is back in the playoffs. And I tell you what, man, they should be thanking their stars because they have an opportunity to right some terrible wrongs. In my opinion, this team with the talent they have should be undefeated. Unbeatable is what I'm saying. And undefeated. Unbeatable. Even with Jackson Smith and Jigba not playing all year long, their wide receiver core still touted as the best in football. Marvin Harrison Jr. still touted as the best wide receiver in football. CJ Stroud was the Heisman Trophy front runner. And every announcer I talked to or analyst said that. And even though we had running backs hurt, third, fourth string were phenomenal just as well, ran for 100 yards. So how do you not blow everybody out? And there's two reasons: play calling and Stroud. He needs to run. He needs to add that wrinkle to the offense. Run. If it's not there in 3 seconds, run. Quit trying to beat Joe Montana and run. So I hope this team really makes some changes and realize that they're playing with house money because they weren't supposed to be there, and just go buck crazy, man, and win us a national championship. Just got to say that, Ohio State Buckeyes. Any thoughts on them making it? Alabama not making it? We saw Coach Saban on TV the other night pleading his case, as he do every time it gets close to a vote. And I'm glad to see them not in there, not to see them or Clemson in the top 4 for once. Thank goodness. Your thoughts, Fish?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Alabama didn't really have any super impressive wins. They had 2 losses. Granted, they were very close games and all that, but you had 2 losses. You didn't beat anybody really big. So yeah, I'm fine they're not there too. And we had an interesting conversation at the wedding, Keith. You mentioned that. So Ohio State got in because Utah beat USC, who was number 4, but they beat them in their respective championship game. Now they beat them pretty bad though. They did blow them out in the championship game. But Ohio State, as you said, they sat home. They were not even in the Big Ten championship game because Michigan was in their division. So the fact that USC gets to their championship game and loses it was a disadvantage to them because it put another loss on them and knocked them out of the playoff race. So that whole setup is just very strange to where it's just you're looking at number of losses and not necessarily that the loss came to a team in their respective championship where other teams didn't make it. So
yes,
I don't know.
It's very weird. Well, you have 2 dynamics that fight against each other. One is your record, and 2, your record based in your division. So Purdue could be 4-5. I mean 4-7, or 4-8 in their division, and everybody else only have 3 wins. So they make it to the conference championship against Ohio State or Michigan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way it is. It seems lopsided. But let's say Purdue wins. You're going to put them in the Final Four because they won the Big Ten? And they're 4-4, right? They're 5-18. Absolutely not. So you got these 2 dynamics fighting against each other, and I don't know how they're going to work it out, but it seems a little weird, seems a little unfair. I'm certainly got Ohio State's hand, and I do understand it is a voting thing, which means they're giving an opinion, and I don't think you can go beyond Ohio State and find me a better football team. Georgia, Michigan, who's better than Ohio State?
Yeah.
And they're great for the college playoffs. We travel just as good, if not better, than anybody. So I get all that. I'm just talking about for the other teams. It just seems a little weird for them. So,
yeah, I'm with you. Like you say, I think they probably got the top 4 right this time.
Yeah, I agree. They got it right for sure.
They do. TCU losing, but in a very close game in overtime, they did not get knocked out of the.
And they lost by stupidity. They didn't get beat. They lost by stupidity.
Yeah, and they shouldn't have been knocked out of the top 4, and they weren't. So it'll be an interesting playoff for sure. So
right now, if the college football gods want to please everybody, right? If you want to make it the greatest playoffs in history, you would have Ohio State beat Georgia.
Yep.
Michigan beat TCU.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 Big Ten teams, the greatest rivalry in all of college football for the championship. It would be the greatest ever, Fish. I'm
Yeah.
salivating thinking about it, man.
Yep. Yep.
Oh man. All right. So moving on. Also in college football, about as controversial as guys there ever was, Deion Sanders, aka Prime Time. Arguably the greatest corner to ever play. He was a spectacular football player. Love watching him play. However, never could stand him. Good standing when he played, when he got a mic in front of him, and certainly don't like him now. But I got much respect for him. He took over at Jackson State a couple years ago. His son, Shadur Jackson, was the quarterback, and he turned a basically nobody even knew about him program around to the fact of being undefeated this year and winning the SWAC. If I'm not mistaken, Southwestern American Conference. I'm not sure. I got to look that up. Deion did some incredible things at this school. A lot of sacrifices were made. A lot of money came out of his own pocket as far as vendors and getting shirts and making sure they had everything they need. And like I said, he turned around. They went undefeated and brought a lot of publicity. Cameras to this school where there would never have been any. So with that being said, Deion got offered the job at the University of Colorado. He accepted the job, which was his right to do so. Apparently, fans didn't like that very much. So at the SWAC championship ceremony, as he went to receive the trophy, here, let me read from this. Let me see. CFB fans reacted to Deion Sanders' blunt message to Colorado. Oh, that's a whole other story. He went to Colorado and talked to the players. And he was just like, man, come on, bro, lighten up a little bit. But anyway, they basically had a little chant going for leaving Jackson State. And Deion got upset. It was kind of like, hurry up. I want to get out of here. And there's a lot going on social media about him leaving. I don't think it's just so much about Jackson State. I'm going to be fair about that. But it's about leaving an HBCU, historically black college university. First of all, he went and took a job at a historically black college university. He could have went elsewhere. And he helped turn that program to something and put him on the map. But instead of getting credit for that, he's getting cited for leaving after a couple of years. Deion said something in an interview that I like. He said, what did he say? If as a head coach, either you did you catch on what I'm saying? But it was a Deion Ryan, but he's basically saying either you're going up or you're going out, something like that. But he's right, that's what coaches do, especially in college. You got old dude at Oklahoma, man. He did great with them. He produced 2 Heisman Trophy winners, Riley. Where's he at now? He's over at USC or something. Not USC. You know what I'm talking about. So anyway, this is how it happens, and especially in college coaching. But he's being cited for that. And let's see. Deion Sanders receives backlash for leaving Jackson State. He was the last person you would expect to become a coach, even less likely Sanders coaching at an HBCU. Not only did he become the coach for Jackson State University program, he turned them into contenders. He had very different, unlikely coaching methods. He helped propel the team into being one of the best. He embraced the hip hop culture when he was there, and the rumors have been confirmed that he's leaving for Colorado. So I'm not going to go into all of that. I don't know, man. I guess there's a lot that goes into stuff like this. First of all, you got to look at kids that committed to going to Jackson State because he was there.
Well,
I
sure.
get it. I get it. But like I said, that happens everywhere all day.
Yep,
it's
that's right.
nothing new. You also got to look at Jackson State's mad because Deion brought money.
Sure.
Nobody cared about you till Deion was there. So I know there's a little anger about that going on. And it's just like when LeBron left Cleveland that first time. It wasn't just about the team stunk. The entire downtown area of Cleveland hurt. The vendors, the hot dog people, the gas stations. Because when LeBron was there, he was must-see TV, and it was sold out every night.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start hurting people with money, you get hated. But, the guy has got to have a plan and a career goal, and he's got to see it through. I think he was on a path to being one of the great coaches in football. Your thoughts on Deion Sanders leaving for Colorado?
Good for him. It's like you say, there's how many guys right now, you pick some of these big schools. Heck, even like a Nick Saban, he didn't start there.
Didn't start there.
He had to work his way up like everybody else. You started as an assistant somewhere, and you get opportunities, gradually. Then you're coaching a smaller school, and all of a sudden you get an opportunity. You show what you could do, and someone gives you a shot at a bigger college. And like you say, it's just part of what the
Urban
progression
Meyer was
is.
at Bowling Green.
That's right.
Urban Meyer started at Bowling Green, then went to Utah.
Right, exactly. So if he gets success, then good for him. And did he make some positive impacts on young men's lives at Jack? I'm sure he did. There was a 60-minute spot with him not long ago, over the last couple of months or so, where they interviewed Deion and brought some attention to the program and his coaching. And I tell you what, like you say, he was a very, very brash guy. He played for Dallas. That was the last time Dallas won a Super Bowl, was with Deion on the team. You're crying out loud. But didn't always agree with his antics and what he was saying, all this and that. But I tell you what, he believes he's a winner, and that's what he promotes. And I'm sure that is contagious on a team.
The track record speaks for itself.
Absolutely. So again, he got an opportunity, he took it. Good for him. And I'm sure he's going to build that program up, and I'm sure guys are going to go out to Colorado that never would have thought they would go out there and play football because he happens to be the coach out there. So I don't know.
Yeah. It's hard to argue with a guy that goes to the 49ers team that couldn't get over the hump beating Dallas and wins the Super Bowl. Then he goes to Dallas and then wins the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Yeah, he comes to Jackson, who were nobody, and wins the swag. Hard to argue with somebody, man.
Yep, that's
Proof's
right.
in the pudding. So I hope he succeeds out there in Colorado. I don't like the trend that I'm seeing. For black coaches in the NFL and college. We didn't talk about it, but what happened to Herm Edwards out of Arizona State is shameful. Just shameful what they did when your own organization sells out your secrets to the other team to get you fired. That's pretty bad, and nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about that, and I don't understand why that is proven. It's been proven. So I hope to see Deion succeed for that reason alone, regardless of my feelings towards him. Yep. Okay. Also in sports, real quick, the Heisman finalists have been announced. And interesting. Our CJ Stroud did make the list. He will be making the trip. He was number 1. He is now number 2 now. But it's going to be interesting because Caleb Stroud, who is now number 1, is who he lost, as you spoken for USC. He lost pretty badly in that game, and but he had a good game, though, personally. So it's going to be interesting to see how this happens. Stroud is at number 2. Max Duggan, quarterback for TCU, at 3. He had a heck of a game, too. Stetson Bennett, a quarterback of Georgia. He's been pretty steadfast all year long. It's kind of a, I don't know, year for Heisman Trophy. Nobody stood out and grabbed it by the horns. And I don't like the fact that they do this right before the bowl games, the major bowl games, too. Especially for the finalists, the guy that wins. The guy that wins has got to make these tours, the talk shows, and all this stuff while trying to get ready for a national championship game or a big bowl game. So I think they should wait till after the bowl games, see who performs on the biggest stage.
Yeah,
and then I don't understand this, dude. And then pick guys the winner. Your thoughts, Chris?
I'm with you, man. Yeah, I don't know. I guess they do that, in other sports as well, I guess, professional, where they pick an MVP of the season before the playoffs, I don't know. It just seems a little bit backwards to me, like you say. I don't know. But like I said, don't distract the kid. That's the bottom line. Don't distract the kid. We got kids. They're already trying to balance actual college work.
Yeah.
They probably got exams and whatever the heck they got going on in that part. You always forget about that stuff. Just see they are students at the end of the day. All this other stuff, like you say, at the very least, like you say, wait till after the season's over with, and then do it. I don't know.
Yeah, and you always say that the great ones perform in the biggest games. Well,
Sure.
Let's see if they're truly great in it. You know. So, and how many times did we see the Heisman winner blow it? How many times have we seen that?
Sure.
Gets blown up. So, it's always that other team, that other player who think they should have won, gets a little bit of an attitude and tries to outshine and beat that other player. So I don't know. They ought to wait and let these kids finish the season out. Just my thoughts. So we'll see how that plays out. Can you think who's your favorite Heisman winner in years past? Man, there's been some great ones, man. Let me pull up a list here. And let me throw some names out at you here. So we've got, I'll just throw a list of a few of them out here in the past few years. Cam Newton, Ron Dane, the Great Dane, Ricky Williams, Matt Leinart, Eddie George, Archie Griffin, Tim Tebow, Charles Woodson, Troy Smith, Robert Griffin III, Chris Winkie, Howard Cassidy, Jason White, Sam Bradford, Danny Werfel, Tim Brown, and I know Barry Sanders, and before our time, O.J. Simpson. Any of those names stick out at you that you really enjoyed their Heisman year?
It's so hard to remember some of the. Eddie George certainly had a great college career for Ohio State, and he went on to do well in the pros as well. And that's something it's certainly not a guarantee, as we know. Just because you do well, there's not a lot of those guys there. All those names you just read, they're definitely very hit and miss. More misses in the pros than hits for sure. So
look at the guy that they're calling the greatest college football player of all time. Didn't make it in the pros, Tim Tebow.
Yep. From that list you said there, probably they had Barry Sanders definitely is one of the greatest that ever played the game.
Yeah.
Both in college and the pros, of course. So, but very rare.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of his, but I thought Cam Newton was kind of a man amongst boys when he played his final college year. It was 1 year at Auburn that he won that Heisman. And you know what? He was a good quarterback, but that year he played, I just really enjoy watching him play. You don't hear people bring his name up, but Troy Smith of Ohio State, that was just a smooth year he had with the Buckeyes. Sure. And I think what was significant about it was Buckeyes were run until Troy Smith came along. And that was like the first time we seen him, under Jim Tressel airing the ball out. So I really enjoyed watching that one. But if I had to pick one other than Tim Tebow's year, Man, there was a guy down in Alabama at a little school named Baylor. I thought Robert Griffin III was just an
Oh yeah,
exciting
yeah,
football player I had ever seen that year. And I was glad that they didn't let, being from little school from Baylor hurt him, that he had won the Heisman. He is the one player I am so upset over his professional career. I thought coaches ruined this guy. He would have
yeah.
been one of the great ones of all time. But I really enjoyed watching him play. So, well, good luck to C.J. Stroud. He's got as good a chance as anybody, I would imagine, because nobody had really pulled away and set themselves apart this year. Okay. All right. That's it for sports pretty much. USA lost to Netherlands in the World Cup. I don't know what it's going to take to get the USA men's soccer team back on track again. World is really that's the world sport, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
To us it's soccer, to them it's football. So I don't know. Music. A couple of interesting tidbits in music, man. I thought was kind of cool. Do-do-do-do-do-do. That says in military history. I don't know where military came from. This person was shot. Okay. All right. So today's music. Oh my God. Interesting stuff. With some names we've talked about before. Paul McCartney and Beatles. I'm tired of mentioning them. Whitney Houston, we mentioned. Even Belinda Carlisle. So the name I wanted to throw out there was 1964, Lorne Green. Now, I never knew this. Lorne Green was famous for playing Paul.
Yeah, Bonanza.
On Bonanza, one of the great cowboy series of all time. When Bonanza came on, you better not say two words around my mom.
Yep. Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, Battlestar Galactica, absolutely. Admiral Adama in his latter years, but certainly he played Mr. Cartwright on Bonanza back in the early days and was famous. Lorne Green cut a song. I never knew this. The song went to #1 on the U.S. charts. It was called Ringo. And I'm like, wow, and I can't wait to look this up. #1, that's pretty big for a person who's known as acting and to have a #1 song under their belt as well. So I thought it'd be cool if we talked about one or two of our favorite actors that cut a song, or more than just a song, but dabbled in the music world and really, really hit it big. And I'll get it kicked off. I think the #1 person that you got to start with is Jamie Foxx.
Okay.
And Fox is kind of a trifecta because Jamie Foxx is a comedian.
Yep.
Then he became a TV star. Then he became a movie star. Then he got some music hits. And that's pretty freaking amazing. Of course, he was asked to sing on Gold Digger, a song by Kanye West, one of the few songs by Kanye West that I like. It is a really cool song. He just came up with this crazy part. And it was unique. And then, of course, he got the role of playing the late, great Ray Charles. And I mean, just totally embraced that song. And if you ever want to watch some good video, watch Jamie Foxx talking about meeting Ray Charles and how Ray Charles talked to him and told him how to do stuff. It's like, yeah, baby, you got it, you baby. It's really funny, but very, very talented person, man. He certainly can sing. He doesn't need auto-tune. And got some hits under his belt. Anybody you can think up fit real quick, Fish?
Yeah, I just looked up actors that put out the albums. One that jumped out at me here was Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi got together and put out the Blues Brothers album, and they would sing, of course, on Saturday Night Live, and they went on tours. They used to tour as the Blues Brothers, and of course they made arguably one of the best movies based on Saturday Night Live characters. One of my all-time favorite movies in general, period, is the Blues Brothers with those guys. So just Yeah, and they were great. It was legit. Those guys sang, the band played. It was just they just had their own style and were also instrumental in helping
Yeah,
recreate some new fans of the old Motown and blues and all that. So I believe
that's a really
go
good
ahead.
one. I was
Yeah.
going to say that's a really good one, and there's so many interesting facts I got to say about them. Obviously, number one, I have a very close tie with the Blues Brothers movie. The
Hmm.
song "Soul Man" was featured in there, which is by Sam and Dave, and Sam Moore of Sam and Dave is my uncle, and I hate that movie.
Ow.
I think that movie is so horrible. I
Hmm.
am personally going to make sure I watch this movie again to give it a
Yeah.
chance. But I hate this movie. Never liked it. Uh, it's really weird. But I'm gonna give it another shot because I haven't watched it in
You have to,
years.
man.
I
It's
haven't
so
seen it in
good.
years.
It's
But
like a
anyway,
musical. Yeah.
but that is a good call though. And because you said that, you made me think of a really good one.
Okay.
How about guys from Spinal Tap?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
They sang. Those guys sang,
Yeah, and
and
as far as the musician is concerned, that's like
yeah.
you can't be a musician and don't watch Spinal Tap. You're not allowed to play out if you haven't seen Spinal Tap.
They're making a sequel to that, Keith. They are.
No,
Yes, they are. It's in production now.
oh boy, it's got to be a home run. You can't ruin this.
Yep. All
Okay,
original guys cut back
no
and
way.
yep. Yep. Rob Reiner, everybody.
That's
I
going to
don't
be
remember what comes out, but
spectacular.
yep, it's gonna be great.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome. All right, now how about this? I don't think there's any bigger name than this. As much as Jamie Foxx is a star, there is no bigger international name than this actor turned singer, David Hasselhoff.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Hoff.
Yeah. Right. Germans love him.
Germans love him.
Germans love David
They'll
Hasselhoff.
name their kid after him.
Yep.
And that's just a
right.
German word, Hasselhoff. You got companies named Hasselhoff. I mean, oh my gosh, this guy, man. And
Yep.
he's just big time overseas, man. You know, nothing you can say about him. And of course, we got Jack Black,
Sure.
and he's done well for himself too. And this person wasn't so much a actor turned star. He was more of a comedian turned actor and star. But Eddie Murphy had a hit out, and he's done a lot of singing now. But Eddie Murphy has come such a long way. If you have not seen the movie Dreamgirls, I'm telling you, man, you are just shortchanging yourself. And Eddie
Yeah.
Murphy was utterly phenomenal in this movie, man. His part that he played, I want to get too much into it. Was just awesome. You watched him grow over the years in this movie. The only thing I like about Beyonce is this movie. Of course, Jamie Foxx is in it. He was outstanding in this movie too.
That's what Eddie Murphy had, by the way. My girl wants to party on it. It's such a good, bad song.
It's such good and
great.
so bad. It's so good because Rick James is
involved.
producing it, and it's got that Rick James bass line in it.
Yeah.
You cannot help but move to it. But Eddie comes through singing through his nose, and you know.
I got one for you here. So this actor here had a #1 hit, and he was a very popular actor, David Soul. Now you might know the name, but he played Hutch on Starsky
Yes.
and
Yeah.
So "Don't Give Up on Me, Baby" was it's a
I remember
definitely
that
a mid
song.
'70s stellar song. So and he had a
Yes.
nice voice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How about what's his name? The guy from Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh yeah,
The,
John
what's it called?
Schneider. John Schneider,
Them good
right?
old boys.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember that song.
he had a hit. Yeah, no, but it was John Schneider that played one of the actors, or one of the, I can't remember if it was Bo or Luke. Bo. Was it Duke?
Yeah.
Luke? Bo and Luke?
Bo. He was Bo. He was Bo.
Bo. Yeah, he had a
Yeah.
you're right. He had a hit. You're right. Mm-hmm.
I thought it was called Them Good Old Boys.
I don't remember what it was, but he definitely had a hit.
Let me see. John Schneider.
Bruce Willis has had some albums out there. Kevin Bacon's had albums.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon actually sings on the new Guardians of the Galaxy
No
holiday
way.
special, Kevin Bacon gets up and sings. Yeah, absolutely. He has a band, I think, with his brother. Oh, here's one here. This one I didn't think. How about Steve Martin, Keith? Steve Martin, comedian,
Ah,
actor. He had, of course, he had King Tut, which was a hit in the '70s, kind of a
that was
spoof. But
funny.
he's an extremely talented banjo player, legit. So he puts out banjo themed albums even to this day. So super talented musician, Steve Martin.
Yeah, that's true. How about Lee Majors?
Sure, absolutely.
That's Lee Majors singing the theme from the Fall Guy, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Anything
Yeah,
leave yeah, yep, one of the
that's a
best
great
TV
song.
theme songs of all time, in my
Yes, it
opinion. Yeah.
was.
Hmm.
So, sometimes you just hit pay dirt. We got a lot that failed too. A lot that
Oh
was
yeah.
really, really,
Oh
really, really
yeah.
bad. Man, we talked about Eddie Murphy just got lucky because Rick James produced it and it was good. But man, I've seen some pretty bad ones too. Let me give you a few here.
Like the William Shatner album, it's like either you hate or you like it because it's so odd with William Shatner practically talking his way through the songs.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
very odd. Yeah.
And I think because the banter that goes along with people imitating Shatner, he tried to capitalize off of that, the talking, the
Yeah.
phrasing, that type of deal.
Hmm.
Um, Geez. Well, Lindsay Lohan put out some music.
Mm.
I saw one of the videos, man. It was pretty bad. It was really, really, really bad. Like she was just trying way too hard. Paris Hilton's is really, really bad. Oh,
Don Johnson he had an album out in the '80s. Yeah,
Heartbeat.
should have. Yeah, it's not
Heartbeat.
bad.
Yeah.
It's a good
Tom
song. I like
Johnson.
that song.
I
Yeah,
liked it too, man. It was
yeah,
just weird. Heartbeat. Yeah.
there's lots of them. You need to be a big enough actor, someone's going to try to find other ways to make money off of you. You know.
Right. I'm going to throw some stuff at you. Scott Baio. Remember that Tony Love Chachi did a lot of singing?
Oh man. Mm.
Oh, gosh. Chachi. Oh, my goodness. Make it while you can. Okay, so that's all I got in sports and music, man. Let's get to some pop culture fish.
Here are just a few of the hundreds of decorations you can save on at Kmart. A 7.5-foot tree for just $77. Decorated wreaths for just $6.99. 100-count Westinghouse lights for $3.79. Come to the Trim-A-Home department at Kmart. It has everything you need to make a holiday work of art in your home or wherever else you live. Kmart. We know how to make your holidays bright.
All right, man. Well, we had again just today making the news. Kind of a bigger death in the world of pop culture. Kirstie Alley has passed away at age 71. I did not realize she was battling cancer, so it said that she passed away peacefully with her immediate family around her. Obviously, huge on television. Cheers. I mean, that's the first place that I knew her from. That was her first, I think, probably big role was in Cheers, and then she went on to do, oh heck, what was it? Was it a designer show after that? When she
He was
did
also
very
in
well.
a couple of Star Trek movies.
Yes, that's correct. Veronica's Closet. That's the one she was
Yeah.
on. The television show was pretty popular there for a while here, but just she was a good actress. I remember when she came on to Cheers and Shelley Duvall was it had left the show. Diane. It's like, ooh, that was a pretty big loss for that show, and a lot of people were wondering if it was maybe going to even survive to have somebody that could play off of Ted Danson so well. Sam's character on the show, and Kirstie Alley came in and instantly fit right in. I mean, I liked her actually better, I think, than the Diane character on the show. Just she was kind of I don't know, she was just different, you know. But yeah, I don't know. Just everything she was in was a good actress, and is a real shame to lose her. Any thoughts on Kirstie Alley, Keith?
I was a huge Kirstie Alley fan.
Yeah.
When she came out, when I first seen her, I thought she was very unique looking. I've always liked unique looking women, not just your typical pretty. She was unique looking. You nailed it on the head, dude. It's such a coincidence that you brought that up. I was a huge fan of Cheers when it came out, and I thought Diane, the character Diane, was an amazing character. She was funny. She was quirky. You could see why Sam wanted to kill her. And Shelley Long, not Duvall, Shelley Long, who played
Shelley
Diane.
Long.
Yeah.
Thank you. I said the wrong name. Yeah, Shelley Long. Thank you.
You could see why Sam wanted to choke her so much. The way they played off of each other, the way they loved each other but hated each other, the way they drove each other crazy. Oh, she drove everybody crazy. I thought she was an amazing character. And when she left, I was like, no way somebody's going to fill these shoes. I thought Kirstie Alley came in and hit it out the park. I don't think she was as good as Shelley Long because, first of all, the newness was gone. Mm-hmm. You're talking about 5, 6 seasons maybe into it, you know. Mm-hmm. The newness of it was gone. It's kind of hard to keep coming up with new ideas and stuff. So I thought she had that against her. But man, she was funny in her own way. She didn't come in trying to be Shelley Long. She had her own way. I love when she would break down crying in the middle of a sentence. She was like, Robert, sweet baby. You know, she was just funny. It just so happens in this world, my sister and I was talking about this now, how I was doing something with her and I said, hey, hurry up. I don't want to miss my Steelers highlights on Sports Center. And I went, what am I talking about? It's 2022. Anything you want to watch, you can pull it up. Mm-hmm. I didn't go to YouTube and pull them up. You watch the highlights. What am I hurrying to catch something, you know, for a commercial to be over with? And with us living in the streaming world, I have my certain shows that I watch at certain times. When I cook, my go-to show is Cheers. Mm-hmm. Basically, what I do is I pick a show and decide to go through all the seasons again. I haven't watched Cheers in years. Now all this Peacock and stuff started coming out. I start picking these old shows to watch every season, show by show. I've been in Cheers for months now. And I'm in the maybe second year of Kirstie Alley. I forgot how brilliant she was on that show. Had no idea she was sick. I hate how she got maligned in the media for weight gain. You know, the whole body shaming thing was awful. But I loved her, man. I thought she was great.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. We also lost 90 years of age, Bob McGrath. Now, you would not maybe know his name, but he played Bob on Sesame Street. So he was an original cast member on Sesame Street. He was in the pilot episode back in 1969.
Oh, yeah.
And he played... he was a mainstay across 5 decades of Sesame Street, 47 seasons of broadcast television. His final series appearance came in 2017, and he still made public appearances as Bob and at events tied to Sesame Street. So, yeah, Bob was definitely. We mentioned this in a recent episode where Sesame Street was released around this time in '69 in November. And so definitely Bob was super familiar to me as a kid. You know, it was Bob and Gordon and Susan and some of the original characters back then, Mr. Hooper. So just a mainstay of my childhood. So shame to see him go. I'm glad he lived to be as an older man, and definitely had his family around him, and seemed like he passed peacefully and all that stuff. But anyway, any thoughts on? It's hard to speak to his work specifically, but just, obviously he's more of a Sesame Street character. But any thoughts on Bob McGrath?
Well, I honestly, not too much. I look at his picture and I'm like, yeah, okay. But it's not to where you could look at his you could show me his picture and I could say, oh, that's who that is.
Yeah.
But now that I see his face, yeah, I remember. But to do that kind of work, that much work on that show, to me, just says a lot to his character.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a world where people get any type of success, and I want to move on. I want to move on to this. We've seen actors leave great gigs because they think, the grass is greener or greater things. We've seen people leave great crime show series because they want to be a movie star and it didn't work out. Now they're back on the crime show or their career. But to stick it out on a show like that tells he loves what he does. He loves what he did, I should say. And that says volumes about his character to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he was big too, as he would sing, "Who are the people in your neighborhood?" Remember that? Who are the people in your neighborhood?
I don't remember that. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, God bless him and his family. Rest in peace. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So last week we talked about the word of the year in the Merriam-Webster dictionary was gaslighting. So if you have not listened to that episode, then check that. Actually, you may not listen to it yet because it hasn't dropped. By the time this one drops, that one would have dropped.
Gaslighting is what Mike Skinner does under the covers with Marcy.
That's right. That's right. So asked to sum up a 2022 word for the Oxford dictionaries, the public has chosen a phrase, Gobiln Mode. I've never heard this phrase before. Have you heard of Gobiln Mode, Keith, before I just said it in pre-production? Have you ever heard that phrase before?
Never in my life.
Yeah. So the definition here, it defines the term as the type of behavior which is unapologetically self-indulgent, lazy, slovenly, or greedy, typically in a way that rejects social norms or expectations. So I guess the term was first seen on Twitter in 2009. Gobiln Mode gained popularity in 2022 as people around the world emerged uncertainly from pandemic lockdowns. So, given the year we've just experienced, Gobiln Mode resonates with all of us who are feeling a little overwhelmed at this point, said Oxford Languages President Casper Grathwall. So, very interesting. So I hear these new phrases and words. It's just like,
I'd never even heard nothing close. Older.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say because I don't remember anything close like this. Now, let me read the definition I have here for it.
Go ahead, please.
Gobiln Mode is a neologism for rejecting societal expectations and living in an unkempt, hedonistic manner without regards to self-image.
All right.
Gosh.
Do you ever feel like have you ever been in Gobiln Mode, Keith? Are you in Gobiln Mode right now? At this stage of your life? It does sound appealing in many respects. I don't know. I don't know.
Wow. I don't want to subscribe to some of this stupid stuff coming out, man. I mean, you saw what I was dealing with on the dating app.
I'm looking for somebody who's not in Gobiln Mode. You would I know what that means. Yeah,
but anyway. I'm not in that mode. I see a lot of people that are. If I'm understanding it right, there's an expectation of things, of services, of resources, of money that I see a lot of people have. Not just young people. We have this laziness that was created from the pandemic. And checks that were passed out. We still have all the stores hurting for employees. We went from there's no jobs to they can't find enough people to work now. So I get what Gobiln Mode's about. I just never heard the term before.
Yeah. I don't know. Crazy.
I'm working every job I can get a hold of. So,
Yeah.
there's a way to make some money. I'll do it.
In our time, it is called that lazy and entitled.
Ain't that the
How
truth?
about that? Yeah. Now it's called Goblin Mode, and it sounds cool, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I got to be careful. Sometimes they talk about this. We sound really old, really fast talking about these type of terms incorrectly if we're not careful. I don't know.
No, yeah. I just be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of crazy, Kanye West, or Ye, as he's known these days, he continues to make a lot of social media news. So apparently he went on the Alex Jones show recently. And Alex Jones is making news of his own.
Those two together, yes.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So he was sued by parents of Sandy Hook for his conspiracy rhetoric on the whole Sandy Hook shooting, where he was claiming it was not real and this and that and the other, and he had to admit that it was real. And he has recently filed for bankruptcy. But anyway, Ye was on there and said some commentary that he basically announced, quote, love for Adolf Hitler and Nazis. So the unbridled anti-Semitism immediately captured the attention of the internet. And while the content was overwhelmingly denounced, the interview and the anti-Semitism expressed in it still reached millions of people, rather. And there's reposted clips. You can probably find the clips out there. Now, I know YouTube, I think, was taking all these down. So as people are reposting these on YouTube, YouTube's catching these and taking them down to get it off of social media.
What did he denounce?
He announced his love of
he announced
Hitler.
his love for Hitler.
He did not denounce, right. He announced his love for Adolf Hitler and Nazis. So he basically was saying, Hitler did some good things or something along that line. Some crazy talk. They say you find the clip out there, I'm sure, if you look for it. But he came out, he had a hood on and everything. It was just very odd. So he just continues to spiral a little out of control, and he's announced the presidential run and everything. It just still seems mentally unwell right now. I don't know, but just any thoughts on any of this here? Is there any? Do you even care what he says anymore? Is he too far off the rails to where it's like, why are we paying attention to a guy like this? Good.
I never care what he said in the first place.
Yeah.
No, here's another guy that was on my list of I could do without in this world. But there comes a point, bitch, when you got to stop feeling sorry for people, Yeah,
you're right.
I mean, stay off TV, stay off the radio, dude. Just stop. If it's like that, just stop. So if you want to keep doing this and you want to keep claiming your right to say this and whatever, that's fine. People are going to claim the right to make you penniless because that's what the world will do to you.
Sure.
You look all the money Kyrie's lost. Nobody cares about Kyrie still being a great basketball player. Nike said, bye-bye.
Yep.
That was a lot of money a year, man.
Mm-hmm.
And Ye, whatever his stupid name is, Mama called him Kanye, I'm going to call him Kanye. He's going to find himself in a bad situation soon here, man. And I was going to say if you don't stop, but I think I might be, that ship has sailed coming out saying that. It's just dumb. It's uncalled for. It's just uncalled for. Alex Jones, you went on his show. He's already a hated guy. And you go in there and add this crap to it. A lot of people talk about his mental stability and feel bad for him or whatever. Come on, man. I'm sure you got some mental issues, but you're not that crazy. And where the people are around him? Is anybody around him to say, hey, that's probably a bad idea? Don't all these people have? Yeah.
I'm with you. I've said that to other people too. It's like he must not have people around him either that either they're not around him or they are around him, but they don't have the ability to reel him in. It's just crazy. Like I said, just watching his whole career unravel right before your eyes. Like I said, you can't really. it's nothing that's misinterpreted. It's like you're just saying stuff that's not popular at all, and so you deserve every negative
You know,
action against you. You
all
know,
these guys keep continuing to put themselves in this position. I didn't do the story, but another one, just like Kanye, Kyrie, Antonio Brown. You know, he's back in another situation where he
right?
has a warrant for his arrest. You know, it's like,
Hmm.
why is it the same people continue to be in the situation, but it's always somebody else's fault?
That's right. You're right. Crazy. All right, looking back this week in pop culture history. Um, Yeah, no surprise here around this time. In years past, a lot of Christmas things came out for the first time, Christmas specials and movies and whatnot. So on December 5th, 1964, Rudolph aired for the first time. In 2000, well, I'm sorry, 1969, on December 7th, Frosty aired for the first time. On December 9th, 1965, Charlie Brown Christmas aired for the first time. So the 60s gave us a lot of these very classic Christmas specials that continue to air to this day. We talked about these in a recent episode, Keith, where the Rankin Bass specials, because the Jules Bass passed away recently. And we talked about how much these specials meant to us growing up and all that. But just thinking about some of these specials, it doesn't have to be one of these. But do you have like your top couple all-time
Yeah,
Christmas
without saying,
special? Not movies, these special. Go ahead. What's your favorite?
yeah, without question, I have two. That there's nothing even close. And I just be remiss if I didn't say this. I grew up loving these things. As I got older, those of you who don't know, I am a Christian man, a pastor. I do have concern about uh, a lot of these shows diverting from the true meaning of Christmas with children. That has to be a concern of mine. I have to say that. But I will say this: for as entertainment is concerned, I don't think there's anything close to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and The Year Without a Santa Claus. If I'm not mistaken, it's The Year Without a Santa Claus, the one with the Heat Miser, and
That's right. Yep.
two of the most entertaining specials, the best songs, the best claymation. I mean, I don't think there's anything close. We saw lots come after that, few before that, but I don't think anything ever hit home like those two hit home.
That's very good. Year Without a Santa Claus, one of my favorites as well. Like you say, the whole dynamic with Mrs. Claus and the Heat Miser, Cold Miser, and the elves with the interacting with the kid. That whole scene, I tell you what, it just, even to this day, when Mickey Rooney is doing the voice of Santa and Santa's sitting at the table, and then they ask, the kid asks his dad, "Do you still believe in Santa?" And the dad, and he sings that song, and it's like, that is still, it gets me every time.
Every time, but
yeah.
You better believe it. And the two coldest chicks in that movie was Mrs. Claus and Mother Nature.
That's right. Don't mess around with it. Yeah, that one, the original Grinch, the Boris Karloff narrated how the Grinch stole Christmas.
Good. Yes.
The animation is terrific. The whole story in itself is awesome. The whole lessons the Grinch learns and everything. And then to me, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. That's my next.
Yeah, I like that one too. I like the one with Baby New Year. All those are great. The big ears, all that stuff was great too. I love them all.
Yep. I find that looking at the Santa Claus is Coming to Town, I'm starting to resemble like the Santa, like the middle-aged Santa. We just got like the gray starting to get in his beard,
Well, in my own way, I'm the late Santa, so I feel you. Yeah, I know what you mean, man. And Rudolph was just so cool to me because the way they approached it. He's the new kid, and he's scoping out a chick on the playground. Okay, I got my eyes on you. Then you got the coach, he had a hat and a whistle on. All right, guys, get over here. You know, we're gonna work out, right? Say we're gonna go right, we're gonna go left. You know, see who gets to pull Santa's sleigh, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was such a cool approach. You know what I mean? It was very, very unique.
Yeah, it was a modern take. The only thing about that one I hated was his dad was so mean to him.
His dad was a jerk.
Horrible.
He sold him out too, man. He's like, when his nose came out, the real dad would have been like, "Come on, son, let's go on. You're my boy." They were laughing at him and stuff, man. It's like, let's go.
Best thing about that was Yukon Cornelius. That's it.
The Yukon best Cornelius. Character ever. Yeah, nothing.
Yeah,
it hurt me. I want to be a dentist. You're an elf.
That's right. That's a good. It is a good one overall.
Great stuff. Yeah, it was great.
All right, and then in 2009, a Jim Carrey Christmas Carol debuted in theaters. Now, I remember I took Peyton to go see this at the time, and it was in 3D in the theater. And have you seen this?
No.
Okay, it's on Disney Plus. You can find it there. And it was Robert Zemeckis that directed it. And Jim Carrey played a lot of characters in this thing. So what they did, it was like a stop motion anime. So basically the characters resembled the actors, that played them. But Jim Carrey plays Scrooge. He plays all the ghosts and other characters. And then you had other Colin Firth, Gary Oldman was in this as Bob Cratchit and others. So the voice talent, the animation was cool. It's kind of a darker version. It's more true to the book, I think. I thought it was pretty good, but I didn't realize this until reading this little article here. It did not do well in the box office. It wound up costing the studio $50 million in loss.
Woo!
This thing. So I don't know, but it is something I tend to watch every year. Like I said, Peyton and I enjoyed it in the theater, and it became a little tradition for us for years growing up. But we'd watch that movie together at the house.
Wow.
But if you've not seen this, if you like the Christmas Carol story, like I said, it's a pretty accurate depiction. And it's to me, it's worth a watch. I think Jim Carrey was so good in this with all the voice talent and everything. Yeah, so it's out there. So
some stuff he was just made for the part,
Yeah, and it's not like it was good. It's just he's just a solid voice actor,
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's what I got. That's what I got, man. So that's what I got for pop culture stuff. Let's see here. It's getting kind of late. Do you have any other announcements? Anything else upcoming?
Got a lot of shows coming up in January, so I'll hold off on those. But look for Rock Generation to be putting out a Christmas song and video, hopefully here within the next couple of weeks. Excited about that.
All right, very good.
We took some of our favorite stuff and meshed it together, made our own Christmas song medley. It's got kind of a Trans-Siberian Orchestra feel, and I'm really excited about that.
Very good. We'll keep an eye out for that. And I'm sure you'll tell us where that can be found or where you can be found. Well, as you know, Keith, I do the other podcast, Convincing Idiots with Dean and Nick for pop culture stuff. And we are planning a combined show coming up here in mid-December. So
putting the family together. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. So Keith started this whole thing with his idea of putting together a football show. And it's
just for fun. Here we are.
Yep. Here we are. Years later, we're still doing this and just enjoying setting time aside and putting this out there, whether 2 people or 50 people, or whatever it is, listen to this thing, or hundreds, whatever. We're having fun doing it. So
we enjoy it. Yeah.
We
can't lose. We can't lose.
That's right.
Here we are streaming on our own channel on B.O.S.S Media. We're so grateful. And if any of that should fall, we're going to do this because we love to do it. And regardless who watches it. And because of that, it will always be authentic. We will always be honest. We don't have to play to anybody's agenda or anything like that. So hope you guys enjoy it.
That's right. All right. Well, in honor of Skinner, who is not here, spending time with family this evening, we'll say on his behalf, we are the guys from GenX, and we appreciate your eyes and listening ears and your candor and your support out there. So again, find us out there on B.O.S.S Media Network, as Keith said, on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms.
Yeah, and big thanks to the Skinner family, Marcy, Teresa, I love you guys. They were such a huge help to me. Spending 2 days at this wedding, I was in a lot of pain. They were just magnificent. We had so much fun riding down and coming back. And then, of course, they stuck me in a car with you and the Coopers, and I hope they never do that again. I had to come home and reevaluate my friends. But thank you to the Skinners for just treating me so good.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be there and be a part of it. So, yes, thank you for just the invitation to be there and see you guys. And it was, as we mentioned earlier, just how happy you guys are. We couldn't be happier for you. So, absolutely.
Go, Junior.
That's right.
You got a sister? No.
All right, so tune in next week for a new episode of It Came from Gen X. Thanks for your support out there, and stay strong, Gen X.
Stay something.
Hey, this is Skinner from It Came from Gen X. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and like, and we'll see you next time.
Ready?
Yep.
All right, guys. Good show. In 3, 2.
You know what? I need 10 more minutes.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Yeah, y'all can kiss my white ass.